Welcome to the Pelitalks Read the Room podcast, where we discuss all things controversial and trendy and all the topics everyone is afraid to talk about. We also emphasize and encourage the practice of respecting others' opinions, even when they're different from ours.
While we speak on various topics, we acknowledge responses not as facts, but merely our opinions.
To get more information and resources, visit our Instagram page at pelitalks.rtr. And remember, while you love sharing your opinions on these topics, it is important to respect the opinions of others.
I'm Ashley, a Karma student at the University of the West Indies in Jamaica, and I'll be co-hosting today's episode.
And I'm Ismore, a Karma student at the University of West Indies in Jamaica as well, and I'll be co-hosting today's episode.
Thanks for joining us for Pelitalks Read the Room.
You know, we are all about the vibes, the controversy, and most of all, the drama. So on today's episode, our question is, what are your views on older women dating younger men and vice versa? Some women find younger men appealing and in a sense have more longevity to perform rather than their older counterparts, while on the behalf of men, they usually find younger women more attractive and appealing towards their sexual desires. Not bursting anyone's bubble, let us dive into another controversial episode of Pelitalks Read the Room.
Now, Izzy, what are your views on this question?
Well, looking at the question, it tends to bring mixed feelings in my mind. But personally, I believe that age should not matter in a relationship. It all comes down to what people choose and what they want. So let's say if you are 30 and your partner is like 18, 19, you should be free to choose them, or they should be free to date you. What do you say, Ashley?
I definitely agree with you. As they say, age is just a number. I believe that once two consenting adults decide that they want to be in a relationship, they are free to do as they please.
And in a sense, I totally agree with that issue because look at it. We're living in a society where you are able to do as you please. So I believe that in a relationship, you should be fitted with the same choices as well. So no one should hinder or try to make you rethink about what you are doing. You should be free and able to do as you please.
That's definitely true. But we have to look on it from both perspectives. So what do you think about older women opting to date younger men? Have you any knowledge on this?
Well, honestly speaking, I do have some knowledge on that issue. I believe that older women dating younger men, it all comes down to what they prefer. And maybe in an instance or so, they feel like the younger men may make them feel youthful, or probably it's that the younger men provide better sex. So it all comes down to what they choose and what they desire, because probably it all comes down to them wanting a younger partner who can go for longer rounds in bed, which provides better sex, or someone who gives them that youthful exuberance, make them feel young again, because that's normally the notion for older women to date younger men. What do you say on that issue, Ashley?
Well, I definitely do agree that people go into relationships for benefit, whether it be sex or anything else. If somebody decides that they want to date a younger person, it must be because they are getting a certain benefit from the situation. However, you have spoken about what the older person's perspective, but why do you think a younger person would date an older person? Put yourself in their shoes.
And I totally agree with the notion which you just uttered, because when you look at it from that wider perspective, normally people go into relationships for gains or for benefits, as you said. Because if a relationship is not making you better off, I don't see the sense of going into one. So normally, being outfitted in the younger person's shoe, it can be for a practice of getting financial aid from that older person, because normally a younger person is just at the beginning of their life, looking towards starting out life, while at the end of it, the older person may have started their life out already and may have that financial backing which the younger one pursues. So it may be in a sense, they are seeking the benefit of that person's finances. However, that may not be the case in all incidents of dating older people. As for some people, they find it more mature in sense because they are looking towards building their self. So they would try to find an older person who fits their mental capacity or mental mind frame and who respects them and their choices and would look to build themselves as well as their partner and them together. So I believe in each instance it have a give and take situation. So that's just my view on that instance right there.
That's so true. Relationships can be complicated because people go into them for different reasons. So somebody else out there might be saying that people only go into relationship with an older person because they want money. But some people are willing to financially aid someone that they're in a relationship with. It's not everybody that sees this as an issue. Some people go into relationships for that reason. So we cannot argue that they shouldn't do it because of that reason, or they should do it because of that reason. Because end of the day, this is their lives, their decision, for them life, and they can do whatever they choose to. So now I want to go into some of the feedback that we've gotten from our Instagram followers. Izzy, do you want to share one?
Yes, I do. I tend to have an interesting one right here, whereas in the person said it's their preference. We all have our preferences and our types. Once they are both adults, they see nothing wrong with it. So looking at that question right there, or looking at that response, I should say, we all have our preferences and type. In each individual on this earth or in this lovely country of Jamaica, we all have a choice to make. So I believe that no one should influence our choices. So in that sense, whereas in we can choose whoever we want to date, whether they're older or younger. It is their own choice, it is their own decision. So don't let anybody force you to make what they feel is right for you. So that is my understanding of that response right there.
I definitely agree. We're living in a free world, even though you have laws. As long as you're doing something that is within the law, I believe that we should allow people to just be themselves and pursue whatever it is that they desire. Do you want to share another feedback?
I do. I have another great feedback from another great responder. So I give thanks to the respondents. I thank you all. So this one says, to be honest, in both scenarios, the younger of the two may seem or may be seen as opportunistic. What do you have to say on that issue, Ash, before I add my view?
Well, we kind of touched on that already. Yes, the person may be viewed as opportunistic, and yes, the person may be opportunistic because at the end of the day, we have to be realistic. People go in a relationship to get money sometimes. Sometimes people go in a relationship for that, but we have to also look at it that not everybody have a problem with financially aiding somebody that they're dating. So if you are going into a relationship, for example, with somebody younger, and you see that they're seeking out finance, you're not blind. You're seeing that this is what they want. They want money. But there is also something that they have that you want. So two persons benefit. Once the two persons are benefiting, I don't see the problem.
And I totally accept that view because, in all honesty, it's true. Normally, going into a relationship, it's all about opportunity. It's about opportunity, whether it's be financial aid or it's opportunity to develop self growth or self confidence. Because being in a relationship, you have to inspire your partner, or you have to have certain factors that can help build on one another, right? So ambition is one main factor because I can teach a person to develop their mindset and to realize self growth. Normally, not in any relationship you can gain that additional component. So I believe and I accept that view. Would you like to share one of your response?
Definitely. As you've said that, that reminds me of a response that I have here, which says, I feel like it's not always wrong. The maturity can be equal or complementary. Now, a lot of times when a younger woman decides to date an older man, it's because a lot of people believe that women mature more quickly than men. So women may opt to date an older man because they believe that they're on the same maturity level as them, as well as you just said, they want to learn from them. So people go into relationships because they want to gain something. So maybe the older person has the knowledge that that person wants. I know of an instance where a woman has opted to date a businessman because she wants to pursue business and she believes that he can give her what she wants. He can teach her along her way in the relationship.
And that's totally true because growing up, you normally learn that at the same age, girls tend to become mature much faster than boys. So a woman or a young lady would rather opt to date an older guy who's much more mature than an immature person who they seem as not fitting of their standard or not fitting of possessing the mindset towards building into a relationship or building on one another status or one another level. So an immature person would only seem to destroy what you are seeking to build. So I agree on that notion.
Now, another response which stuck out to me is it would depend on how wide the age gap is. From 10 years up, it could work, but there may be problems. Now, why would you think that somebody may view the age gap as a factor in determining if a relationship would work between these people?
Well, looking at it from this perspective, what if that person want to build like a long-term relationship with somebody who's older, who's much older than them? So let's say for in the ranges of me being 30 and my partner at the moment being like in her 50s, I wouldn't see myself going towards the extent of going a long-term relationship with that person because in the general layman terms, it would seem as if that person would already have lived their life already. And I would be basically in the prime years of mine. So I would want to see myself dating a person who's much more closer to the age that I am. So probably along the next 10 to 15 years, we could build a life which we both could accept and which we both could cherish throughout the years to come, raising a family or whatever. What do you say?
Well, I definitely understand where you're coming from, and I do agree. But we have to also look on it that not everybody goes into a relationship for a long-term benefit. Some people just go in a relationship for an in the moment thing and they just enjoy what it is in the moment.
Totally agree. Because some people tend to make because most people then tend to like in that moment where everything is happening, they tend to be rather happy and they don't wish for that moment to be gone anytime at all. So they continue towards living their mindset into that specific moment, not thinking about the future outcomes or what is to come otherwise.
That's so true. So, Izzy, what are your final views? Now that we've delved into the topic, what are your final views on the question?
Well, honestly, for me, I believe that people should be freely able to choose whoever they want, despite age being a factor, whether they're older or not. As long as who they consensually want to be in a relationship is over the age limit, I see no problem with it. So therefore, I implore all my listeners, if you want somebody, and whether they're older than you or they're younger than you, go for it. Don't let anybody tell you what to do or tell you if it's wrong or if they're comfortable with it. It's not what they want, it's what you want. What do you say, Ash?
Indeed, I think what beautifully summarizes what we've been saying for this episode is a response that you referred to earlier, which says that it's their preference. We all have preferences and types once they are both adults, which is what I believe that once two consenting adults want to be in this kind of situation, society should allow them to do this. In essence, what we have established here is that at the end of the day, people do what is desirable to them. As a society, we should learn to accept people's choices once it is legal, and in this case, two consenting adults agree on being in a relationship. So we as a society should not allow our personal views or opinions hinder other people's choices. As we say here on Pelitalks, popular opinion is not the only opinion. Right, Izzy?
And that's definitely true. Because when you look at it, hearing it from a popular stance or a popular person, it doesn't guarantee that it's true. So you have to go out there and experience it for yourself.
Definitely. That brings us to the end of this conversation.
We're looking forward to continuing this conversation with you all someday soon.
Take care and be safe. Bye.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.